Ta-da!
We're back.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, that was the wrong thing to do. You know, wrong movie.
We're movie.
We're back.
Jason, they meet.
So,
So, how was your distance from me?
the distance
For the what, 15 minutes?
in
20
a
minutes?
distance. No, anyway. But oh
Yeah,
God.
there's something I must bring out to the people that will watch one day, maybe even when we're dead. I don't
Right.
know. Being friends with Christopher is extremely exhausting for multiple reasons. See, not a lot of you would know that, but I do. And I'm not saying I'm perfect because I probably annoy the shit out of him with many things that I do. No, I don't probably. I do annoy the shit out of him with many things that I do. But he's very tiring. Um, when we try to talk or when I try to talk and have a pretty decent conversation, you can't do that with Chris. Ever. It's very rare that you'll get this man to be sincere at any fucking
Sincere.
time during a conversation. You could be crying, you could have somebody slit in your throat, and he'll joke about it. He will then feel bad and then talk serious for 5 seconds. Um, then, in the midst of me having a conversation, he picks a sentence that I'm saying or something or an object or whatever. And in the midst of our conversation, he sings a fucking song every time. And then he'll laugh and he'll cough it off and then he'll, yeah, well, and I went down and I'm like, where did that come from? Huh, where did that come from? Then he repeats. Everything I say, he decides to repeat. I decides to repeat. All right, Chris, you need to stop. You need to stop. Oh my God, stop doing that. Stop doing that. And he'll make fun. He'll put little squeaky sounds to everyone's voice or every woman's voice, whatever, because most men find us to be squeaky and annoying. Um, what else? I could go on, but I just want everyone to know. But uh, with all that being said, I love him to pieces. So I must admit he's a great friend and he's
Oh,
a great guy. And
oh, he's
yeah,
real nice.
he just I put up with it because if I trust me, if I didn't like what he did, I would have been like, bye-bye. But
Oh, that's very sweet. So, this guy says to his wife, if I died, wherever you went, I don't know if you're still there. Did you go away? I don't know what happened. That's weird. Send a text. That's bizarre. We're recording. She's back. All right, everybody, just hold on. You went away. I don't know. Is your audio on?
yeah,
Oh, okay, there you are. Okay, all right.
did the recording just stop?
No, you have to because you tilted the computer down. It knocked you out or something.
But is it still recording?
It is. It didn't stop.
Ooh.
So I kept saying, "Where did she go? Is she still there?" So I was starting to say before you rudely interrupted me. Um, and here we go. Anyway, so
Well,
this
I hope it's still recording because on my end it said recording in progress.
It's still going. So
Okay.
I try to entertain people.
Sorry, folks.
You know,
I try to be funny and entertain, but I fucked up. So
yeah,
sorry.
you were always entertaining. Anyway, so husband says to the wife, "If I die, would you marry again?" And she goes, "Sure." Husband's like, "Oh, well, would you live in this same house?" And she says, "Well, yeah." And I goes, "Huh. Well, would you let him use my golf clubs?" She goes, "No, he's left-handed."
She a blonde?
Oh
Well,
God.
I'll make you laugh too. I was at my friend Melina's house last night. Yes, Millie, if you happen to watch this, I'm sorry. This is the highlight of my conversation.
Melina,
So
Melina.
she made a delicious, she made a shepherd's pie. And she made it healthy for my reason, and it was outrageous. It was delicious. So, number one, programming in the recipe and this and that and my calculator. And then she goes, if you want to make it, why don't you take a picture of the recipe? I said, good idea. So as I'm doing that, I'm reading off everything. And I'm calculating at this point. Did you put that in there? 2 cups of what? I says, and then did you do parsley or did you do? She goes, parsley. Now she's made this a million times. She goes, wait a minute, where's the parsley?
The what?
She goes, what is the parsley for? I don't. So I went, um, I don't know. I said, wait, let me read the bottom of the instructions. Maybe it's just for garnish. Sure than shit, it was just for garnish. She goes, oh, okay, yeah, she goes, I knew I never put it in there. I said, all right, we're good with that. Later on, I go to get my other piece of the pie, and she goes, you should throw it in the microwave because it got cool already. So I said, all right, cut my piece. I open up her microwave, and I said, it was a measuring cup with a little liquid in it. I said, do you need this for anything? She goes, oh, that's the chicken stock. I forgot to put that in. Well, she goes, that's where it is. I, we and her were crying. And there it is. I wanted to do the, it's okay. All
Yeah.
right, Millie. It's all right. She had a fucking red face. I couldn't stop laughing. Me, I keel over. I gotta pee, whatever. It's always at the moment. This was like way after the fucking shepherd's pie was though.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't think it needed it, did you? I was like, no, it was delicious without it. I was like, did you happen to need this liquid? She goes, oh, I forgot to put the chicken.
uh,
There you go. That's my wonderful friend.
uh,
And she's blonde by dye. Not
Melina.
by root. Not by root.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, but just gotta laugh at little things like that. That's what makes everything. Stop biting me.
Does she actually enjoy cooking? I know you do. You're a great cook, but she actually enjoys the process of cooking.
Millie enjoys cooking. Yes, I mean, and this is like one of the reasons we've been getting together a couple. And I was like, because for a while we haven't gotten together. Everybody drifts and we have get into our own shit. And she don't want to. She's doing her own thing. I'm doing my own thing. And I said it. I said I'm just as bad. Like if I feel like I don't want to go, but she understands me and I get her. And we get our moments. But
The reason I'm asking is because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, Dale. You know Dale, and we're talking about food and cooking and things, um, and we just were talking about people in our lives, particularly relationships, who liked to cook, who didn't, and it's weird because as you know, Marianne, she enjoys cooking. She really gets into it. I know you cook extensively, have for a long time, and you're a very good cook. But there are people um, even in extended family, that I never heard this phrase before, but they consider cooking a time suck.
hmm,
And I never heard that. I can hear it now. Cooking is just a time suck, And I'm like, wow. But it's true, not everyone likes to cook. I know there are people that just find it the most boring, tedious.
Yeah,
Talk
they don't
about,
want to be bothered.
avoiding things and procrastinating. We don't discussed,
Yeah.
in previous podcasts. But I didn't. Not everybody has to like it. Listen, I'm not a handy guy. There are people that would, jump on, 5,000 things in the house that I just would go, who can I call? To take, yeah, and plus you're handy too, but very handy. You have that common sense about how, all I do is go, I'm going to break this. All right. So I just, um, but, and I don't cook a lot. I don't cook great, but I've survived. And if you look at me, or even years ago, I wasn't missing too many meals, but I learned to improvise and all that. But I was just thinking, what is it about that? Like the process. Like I remember, a family member saying to me, I just can't stand the standing there and slicing and chopping and stirring and they were really like, oh my God, that's just I can't stand doing
Yeah,
that.
just because everybody like there's a lot of people we all love to cook. We do. But there's a process and
But when you, for example, let me just jump in. When you're preparing ingredients and you're chopping, you're cooking, you're slicing, and all that stuff, what is it about when you're doing it that you don't find it intolerable? When you're going through the process of all those steps that you do, whereas someone goes, "Oh my God, I'd rather, get a root canal than."
because I look forward, especially if it's creating a new recipe. And that's a little tedious because you're trying to read everything. 3 cups of the. My thing later on in life, like I used to do everything as I was cooking. Now I've learned it's a little bit better to do it where if I even if it's my recipe and I'll do I will like to take all the ingredients and do it right away. If it's vegetables, fruit, cut it all up first, put it in little glass things,
Have it
containers.
all ready. Yeah,
Even seasonings, even seasoning. I know it's good, but I bought those little glass dishes. I put everything in there. I line it up, eggs, whatever that recipe needs.
yeah.
I try to put it all aside first so I could throw away the scraps, clean the counter. That's another process that's a bitch when it comes to cooking. And I think a lot of that will bother people more because these
Yeah,
people are the
that's
type
a
to
very
like
good
to
point.
clean.
Yeah, that's an excellent point that you mentioned that, Barbara, because when I've looked at just a couple of cooking videos, just a few times in my life, I've noticed that when they're ready to make the dish, everything's there.
Yeah.
They got like 15 little bowls. Everything's
Mm-hmm.
all prepared. Everything,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, the ingredients, the spices, and they're ready to go. So when it's time to
Right.
add this, boom, there goes that bowl.
Right.
So it's all there rather than doing it step by step,
Right.
and
The only thing I don't do when it comes to that is like, say, if I'm making my Italian sauce, my Sunday sauce, I don't separate everything. That goes right into the pot. Like I'll cut the
okay.
onion right there, chop it,
Yeah,
throw
yeah,
out, I throw that in the pot, do my garlic over the pot. Like that I could do right over the pot. It's simple. It's
okay.
not a lot of stuff. And if you're doing meat, the meat's already coming out of the package. It's being fried or baked, whatever.
Yeah,
The only thing I do, same thing with meatballs. That I do right there. I don't pre-chop for that. I chop it as I have the meat in the bowl.
yeah,
Cutting the garlic over the meat,
yeah.
doing the breadcrumb, cracking the egg, and that's to me is just more simpler that way because it's I know grating the cheese and other than that, it's like certain soups and certain casseroles or what cup, the if you have to do potatoes, it's a bitch. It's a process. And a lot of people, they would probably be excellent cooks. They just don't like the work, the process. If they had somebody cut the potatoes, cut the onions, cut the thing, and do that for them, I
Yeah.
bet you they would love to cook.
That's a very interesting point. I wonder if it's the same thing. Like, I mean, this is different for me because again, I don't have a knack nor interest to, become a a handyman. Um, but there are people that find the pleasure in the measuring and and you again you also are handy the figuring out and how am I going to do this and what materials am I going to use and how am I going to and for me that just it just goes into this dark
Yeah, I love it.
hole.
I love the ending process. I love enjoying the meal. I love watching everybody else enjoy the meal.
But even in terms of how handy you are with household, jobs, I mean,
Hmm.
what is that? Is it similar where you enjoy the preparation of, well, you have to measure this first. I'm going to have to need this tool. I'm going to have to get this, and I'm going to have. Is it?
It's again, it's a lot of work. It's exhausting. It is. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, I don't know if I want to put myself through that. But at the same time, it's rewarding because I did it.
Mm,
I built that. I created it.
mm.
I did this, myself. It could take long. It doesn't matter to me. All of that, whether it's a handy job around the house, hammering a nail, putting up sheetrock, painting. Yes, it's all tedious work.
Barbie's available for side jobs, by the way. If you need something sheetrocked, you
It's
can call.
but it's work. But at the same time, it's like you could sit back and look at the fruits of your labor. Like you could say, I fucking did this. This is my plan, or I did it for so and so, and you enjoy that. You did a good job, you
Oh
know.
yeah, I feel that way when I cook something, but I don't go near that in terms of anything in terms of construction wise. I'm just the opposite.
It's
When
all creativity to me. It's
Yeah,
all
you're right, but
creativity to me.
you're that much more creative. To me, when I demolish something, I go, look, I destroyed that. Me, I did that. Yeah, I broke that.
Nah,
Yeah.
you're more or less like Jesus, fucking Jesus, until your head explodes,
That's
and
that.
then
Yeah, you're right. You got it. You nailed it. Pun intended. I go to I go to
you
zero
go
to
to
say,
the
what
extreme.
the? What? Son
Until
of a
all's calmed down, your face is not red anymore. You're sitting down. You let me call a contractor. Yep. And then they go, that'll cost you 5,000.
Oh my God,
You
crazy.
broke it. No, only kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy. But
yeah, yeah.
with the cooking, I guess I just find it more interesting in terms of because I enjoy it a lot more. But again, because today being Sunday, as I mentioned, before, one of my favorite days, and it goes back to traditions, growing up and Sunday was always a pasta day in my house. I grew up with my
Hmm.
Italian side of the family, and it
Right.
just was more of a time. I saw this great quote. I don't know if I can remember it. Oh, about eating at a table. How did it go? Oh, um, at 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 the at the table we break bread with each other or something like that. At the table, we break bread and give thanks to God. At this table, we know we're not alone.
Mm.
So I'm paraphrasing, but it just was really like, wow,
Right.
yeah,
I
that was,
like that.
yeah, that's really cool, because you know, and
To
there's another
me, that's
person.
what keeps people together.
You're right, and this person I think was writing this essay about how about at the table, the table, the family table, excuse me, is not just for eating,
Mhm.
just to refuel. It's the time where they even said, arguments happen, you know, promises are made, feelings are hurt, people are forgiven. It's like the communal space
Mhm.
where we work out and engage about the things of life, and
To me, the table is the sanctuary.
yes, very well said. Yeah, it's
To
like the
me, your
altar,
table
the
is your
altar in the bay. Yeah,
sanctuary. Yeah,
yeah.
because anything and everything can happen here. It's not just about food. That's the main reason is to gather
It's the
with
uniter.
family and
Yeah, the food is
friends
yeah.
and enjoy breaking bread. And the breaking bread also means when you're sharing something, you're
Yeah,
sharing not just things that are edible, you're sharing information, um you're sharing love, you're sharing happiness, you're sharing sadness, you're sharing anger. I
right.
know it sounds crazy, but like you said, you argue at the table, you fight at the table, you compromise at the table, you eat at the table, you share love at the table. I mean, it even goes down to playing footsie. There's so much that happens at the table. It's a sanctuary
Yes. No,
of
no, well said.
so many things.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I remember one time I years ago I wrote a song, like a little folk song. It was called Empty Table. And
Mm,
I was thinking about the kitchen. We didn't have a dining room, so the kitchen table was it.
right.
And all the things that happened, at that table, in our little kitchen, and it was not only for meals, but it became like a workstation.
Yeah.
When it was time to, it was like it became like a makeshift. It was time to write out bills.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
was time to read certain thing. I did homework,
Yeah.
at the table. It was a time where when certain family would come over, and like I said, there'd be these arguments, or there'd be these not like a powwow, but there's be gossip sessions,
Yep.
and all the relatives would come over, and I'd hear, and of course I grew up in an Italian family, so and raised mostly by women, so I'd hear all the screaming and the laughing and the carrying on, and
Hmm.
and it was just, but it was just that dynamic.
Yeah.
Could you believe that she said that at that wedding, and she had the nerve to, and we
Hmm.
throughout the whole house,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
and it just, and the crying and this and that, and it was just, wow. It was just life in full force,
Yeah.
you know um and yeah.
Everything's at the table. Everything's at the table. Like I told you this recently, even on another podcast, I had mentioned that my mother always sat at the table.
Yeah.
She had company day in and day out, morning till night. My mother cooked well, morning till night. Between her children,
Right.
grandchildren, friends, family, upstairs. That my mother's house was banging 24 hours a day, unless she went out.
Right.
For the most part, never did we not have company. Never. We had her friends sleep over. It was just party central. My mother's house was great. But my mother woke up, the radio went on, she went to the bathroom, washed her face, if she took a shower, whatever. She came out, she was a smoker too. The coffee was already here because it was on, and the radio was on, the coffee was here, and then the phone, the house phone rather. And she'd call her sisters, or she'd call her brothers, or she'd call her friends. And it was Ma, you're always on the phone. Ma, you're smoking, drinking coffee. And then who'd come in? I'd have to let them in. And everybody sat at the table.
Mm.
We played cards at the table. We ate
Yeah.
at like you said, and it becomes a workstation. When we would paint the house or clean the apartment, all the stuff was on the table. It's
Yeah.
get the flowers off, put everything on the floor, and this
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
the workstation. This was
Yeah.
just like what you said. Everything happens here.
Yeah.
This is the center of the home. This is the heart of the home.
Part of home. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Yeah, your kitchen, but this is the heart of the home. This is where
Yeah.
everything basically happens.
And you look at that,
Find
like,
myself sitting here too,
right.
like my
And,
mother.
and you look at how it when that becomes fragmented. Yeah, I think it's very symbolic, or it just really shows how the family. Now, I hear so many stories now from people where, when meals are eaten in a lot of families, they all in their separate bedrooms.
Yeah,
They take a plate, or it's not even, maybe not even cooked at the central station, the kitchen. They
yeah,
grab what they want, microwave what they want, bring home what they want, take out,
yeah,
and they just scatter to their separate little
yeah,
conclaves
whatever.
between them.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then their dirty dishes are left in the rooms.
Hmm.
The plates are left there. There's all the silverware. I'm not sure, but it's almost like a little, like little dorm
Yeah,
rooms. You know,
yeah,
and there's something I think to be said about that, and I'm grateful that, um, I grew up in a household where it was, at the table.
Mhm.
Conversely, my father's uh, family, all meals were ate in front of the television on TV trays, where it was just the opposite with my.
We did the same thing.
Oh, really? Okay.
And my father used to love those stupid TV dinners years ago, back in the 80s. My mother cooked all the time, but he loved a stupid TV
But
dinner once in a while. And
we always, but when I would visit my father, my parents were divorced, and my father's my paternal grandparents, they always ate watching television. They had this big television,
yeah,
and they had the TV trays, and they sat with the TV
yes,
trays. I mean, the meal was cooked in the kitchen, but it was
yeah.
without, you
But that
know,
was well, not it wasn't every night because, like I said, we always ate as it we there was five kids and
but in my
two.
father's
But my father loved sitting with
apartment.
his snack tray and his food, or he would watch the game, or he would tell my mother, Ann, I'm sitting over here, and then we would
Yeah.
sit at the table. Him and my mother would be there with the snack trays, and
Yeah, but my dad, that's every night, every meal was like that.
yeah,
Always. I mean,
yeah,
rarely did they sit at. They had an apartment, and
right,
they had a little dining room table, but it was rarely used. It was only
wow,
used when there was just enough people you had to have.
right,
But so an interesting contrast. But I remember, um, even as a kid, when I started to get into watching more television, even like on a Sunday, I wanted to watch Abbott and Costello. It was
yeah,
always on Sunday, 11:30, the movie. And as I got older, I started to want to, eat my meal and, watch what I wanted to watch on TV. And then my grandma was like, "No, eat at the table. You come to the
right,
table. That's, and I was like, but kind of like
hmm
wanted to eat and watch the movie, but I was already making that sort of segue. But I can look back and see again how much more important that was.
yeah,
We were together, and that was
right,
the time for us to, excuse me, to just to be there because there was really not really many times that we, excuse me, all were sitting there
yeah,
in one
right,
space at one moment, and food is like the great unifier,
yeah,
brings us there.
yeah,
So, but, well, I got the alert. I got 10 minutes. So yeah, that was just, let me think about that, the table. And, yeah, my mind is just starting to go back.
yeah.
I
Think
think, yeah,
back into those days. Yep.
yeah.
It's sad, not many people do it. So when we do get the opportunity to get together, we try. Um, and Tommy knows he just came out from the bed because it's too chilly in there. He knows well as my mom when we first started going out. That's all we had was company, and my mother was always cooking, and it
Mhm.
took him forever to eat at my mother's house because he was the type that skeeved everything and skeeved.
What do you mean?
He wouldn't drink milk in anyone's house unless it was closed because he didn't trust the fact that somebody would drink from the container.
Oh, okay.
Um, he was like that from a kid. Even at his grandmother's house for Thanksgiving, he just didn't like eating her food or the way she cooked, or she was a little sloppy, or he she didn't clean her hair, whatever it was that just irked him as a child. His mother used to have a fit.
Hmm.
On Thanksgiving, she would have to look for the supermarket downstairs and get him something from the candy store or something.
Mhm.
Or, and we were like, "What's wrong with you?" And, it took him a long time to finally eat over my mom's house, eat mom
Okay.
food. But um he realized too later on that's the heart
Yeah.
of being with everyone. That's just,
Yeah.
it's just to me, cooking gathers everyone together, and it's usually always at the table. And you know what? Again, like you said, when your father had the snack trays and he ate there, and even when my father did it, we were still together in the same room. So
Yeah.
yes, As much as we would all like to be at the table, when he wanted to watch something on TV or his
Right.
game, he just wanted to sit on the couch and my mother went with him or
Yeah.
what, we were still together. It's
Yeah.
not like we were in separate rooms. We would still see each other and it was just different time.
It was. It
Right.
was. Yeah. And I look back and I go, God, and even in some of the meals that were made, um, particularly on my father's side, because my paternal grandmother, she didn't really cook as much, and food was not as, um, but they were British, English
Mm,
background, Dutch background, and they really, she
right.
wasn't really, food wasn't a big thing, you know.
Right.
My dad was a gourmand. He enjoyed food, but he didn't, he just cooked just the basics.
Right.
And I think back at some of the meals that he would make that I used to look forward to as a kid, and I go, God, he made me that.
Yeah, yeah.
And even, they would just buy the Parmesan cheese that came in the little container,
Yeah.
that little green thing,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
you spin the thing at the top with the holes, it's just,
Yeah. You get that little thing you can't get it with your
yeah.
nail to open up to that little
Oh
wedge.
my God. Nowadays, that's the last thing I would do. God bless my dad, but it's just, and he would
You
shake
ate
and
it.
bake.
That's it. That's what they had. You wanted it and you
Yeah.
thought it was
And,
good,
and
you know?
he used to make shake and bake. You know, he made spaghetti. It was ragu out of the jar.
Yeah.
But it was the greatest
When
thing.
you were a kid, right? You
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
I
That's
enjoyed it.
it.
And I look back and go, God, I think I get emotional, but to go back and have one of those meals again with them.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. You'll do it in a heartbeat.
but all right, we got it. Our time is
Up.
fastly waning, so it was good to again chat. It's great to see you. You look wonderful. Good to have
Yeah.
these conversations. They really they warm the heart. They really do for me
Yeah.
in particular.
Well, of course.
Thank you.
Me too.
All right, so we will talk again.
Yes, we
Right?
will. And thanks
Good.
everybody for, tuning in and getting millions of people to come watch us. We appreciate it. We never
Please
had so many likes in our life. No.
stop all the fan mail, please. It's just too much. It's just too much. So,
We just became these influencer. Yeah, okay. We have like three, four thumbs ups. It's like, all right, come on. But that's okay. We do it
until
for us
next
anyway.
time. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording until then. All right,
Mwah.
till next
Ciao for
time.
now.